Hello, everyone. So, it was bound to happen. It was bound to happen, and it did. It finally happened. And I claim victory. I claim victory in this case. I do claim victory. You may find it unusual. Someone with so few followers and so few viewers claims victory, but I do. And the reason that I claim victory is because both candidates mentioned China. The moderator mentioned China during the last debate. They did. They mentioned China. And this is only a good thing. This is good for everyone in the country. So what does this mean? What can we take away from this? Well, I'll tell you what I did. I'll tell you. I wrote to both candidates before the debate talking about China. And I wrote to CBS News asking them to ask specifically about China. Trump brought it up right away. He was the first one to mention China. Right out of the gate, right away he mentioned China. And after Trump mentioned China, then Biden mentioned China. And they were both talking about China. And then the moderator chimed in, and she joined in and asked a specific question about China. And they said right on TV, right in front of millions of viewers, that nuclear war was a possibility. So I claim victory was not all my doing. It was me and a very small, very determined group of very vocal people who complained about China. And we all did. We all chimed in. We all talked about China, and like they say, it's only a very small, determined group of people who's very vocal, who's ever changed anything. Small, determined group of people that's very vocal is the only people who have ever changed anything in this world. So you have to be vocal. You have to speak up, even if you're afraid. Even if you're afraid of someone. Always keep the lines of communication open. Don't ever close the lines of communication, because talking to that person might actually be very helpful, like it was when I wrote the Trump White House, which I've never done even once before. This is the first time I've written him. And as soon as I wrote him, he began sending me emails immediately addressed from the White House talking about the China situation. So that was great. That was great, and I claim victory in this situation. I'm really pleased with what happened, really pleased with the situation and how it unfolded and how it turned out. I'm glad now. And now people have a chance to prep. What does prep mean? They have a chance to prepare for the possibility of nuclear war. They have a chance. They have a fighting chance. China's been exposed. Been caught with their pants down. And China now may be forced to come to the table and seek the peace process. We may have averted a nuclear war. So I may have saved a lot of lives. And I'm very happy, very pleased with the way things went. And now everyone, after the debate, and everyone heard about China and the possibility of nuclear war, and how everyone's talking about China. Everyone's talking about China. Everyone's talking about the possibility of nuclear war. Everyone's talking about Chinese aggression. Everyone's talking about why you should prep. So everyone's talking about it now, which is great. I'm so pleased, and I'm so thrilled that everyone's talking about it. Now that the cat's out of the bag, there's really no way China can go back. They either have to seek the peace process. their advantage, the advantage they had was a surprise attack, just like Pearl Harbor. Surprise attack, probably overnight, probably in the dead of winter. The element of surprise is gone. It's gone. So there's nothing they can do but to sue for peace or to seek the peace. Not really sue for peace because we're the ones suing for peace. But, you know, this is a good thing. This is good. This is really good. China's had a history, long history of the common people being oppressed. And you think, well, wow, now they're communists. Now the little guy is not oppressed anymore, right? Wrong. They've never, I mean, okay, I won't say never. They had a democracy in China for maybe a few years, just a few, after the monarchy fell. Then it went right into communism. The communists took right over. So they didn't have a democracy for very long, and whoever were democratic people, not like Democrats in America, but democratic people, they all moved to Taiwan, and now Taiwan is under threat. So let's enumerate some of China's recent sins. First of all, they've suppressed freedom of speech in their own country, which we knew, because that's what communists do. Those of you who think communism is so great, how would you like to lose your freedom of speech? Also suppressed freedom of religion, which some communists think is great, but it's not really so great, because religious minorities then get suppressed. They get oppressed, and there could be murder. So just keep that in mind, communists. Those of you who would like to force your parents to be atheist, if you force them, they may be willing to die for their beliefs, and you may lose your parents. Just the most raw comparison I can draw to give you some perspective into what suppressing freedom of religion really entails. Okay, so there's those two things. They did those right off the bat because they're communists. What else have they done? They invaded Tibet. They drove the Dalai Lama into hiding and with his followers, and they brutally hurt the Tibetan people. They put them in prisons. They tortured them, malnourished them, and even killed them. And it killed a lot of Tibetans. They've been trying to displace the Tibetans so they have the land for Chinese people for themselves. And it's a land grab. It's just a grab for land. Other thing that they did was their participation in the Vietnam and North Korean wars, which you may say, well, America was aggressive. They should have never gotten involved in Vietnam. And it was okay that they got involved in North Korea because we won that war, but Vietnam was not okay. And you may say that, and that's fine, but we're actually trying to protect some democracy in those countries that people who wanted democracy that already existed and who were being opposed by communists within their own country. And China just used their location being right there to the north and to the west of North Korea and Vietnam, send all their weapons, all their munitions, all their supplies, even their soldiers, to pose as the soldiers of the country to totally crush. That's why Vietnam won. Why the Viet Cong won. They won because they had aid from China. Then what did they do later? Well, took over Hong Kong, and they've been brutally suppressing the people of Hong Kong now, suppressing all freedom of speech, curtailing all their freedoms. And now they say, well, even though we didn't have a treaty or a contract, Taiwan belongs to us, and it's in our sphere of influence, and it's nearby. It's a country that's nearby us, and it's small, and we're big. We're just going to take it because Chinese people live there, and it's ours. It's ours. We're going to take Taiwan. And the U.S. may decide that Taiwan is a lost cause and give up Taiwan. And there may be a military operation to fly the people of Taiwan out. That may happen. But if we defend Taiwan, China's ready to go to war. Other thing, China wants to expand. They have expansionist ambitions. They want to expand into India, because they just invaded India just recently. There's a standoff at the border. They want to invade India. And also they've been moving in on islands in the Philippines, and eventually they just want to gobble up the whole Philippines. Just take it for themselves. There could be a new Iron Curtain fall over India and the Philippines. And then they'll just continue moving outward from there. But China isn't really all that powerful. There's no way they can do it alone. They really need the help of the Russians if they're going to do all this. The Russians so far have been hiding their intentions. But we do know that in recent years, very recently, Russia put a bounty on the heads of U.S. soldiers in Afghanistan. If that's not a declaration of war, I don't know what is. In the past, we would have gone to war over such a bounty. But nowadays, it's the new normal. So we just avoid war at all costs. So we don't do anything about Russia putting a bounty on the heads of U.S. soldiers in Afghanistan. We don't do anything about Russia putting a bounty on our heads. And there's been some skirmishes with some B-52s and some Russian fighter jets. And Cold War is alive and well. It's back up again. It might be even turning into a warm war, and it might even turn into a hot war eventually. So things are heating up, and everyone should know about these things happening. Should all be aware of these things. China's trying to restrict travel of goods and services, goods and cargo, and also military through the South China Sea. They say this belongs to us, the South China Sea is ours. You can't even move at all through the South China Sea. We'll come shoot you down. So that's going on. And they've been terraforming all sorts of islands around Taiwan in their preparation for their invasion. So all of these things you should know. Another thing they've been doing is blackmailing Chinese people of Chinese ethnicity or origin or nationality, wherever they may live in the world. So wherever they may live in the world, even if they're American citizens, they've been getting these threats from China saying, okay, we're gonna imprison your whole family, or we're gonna kill your whole family if you don't move back to China immediately. People in these countries have had to just ignore these threats and warnings because and just let China do whatever they feel like to their families back home, because they cannot return to that place at all, no matter what may happen, no matter what may fall. They can't return to that country ever, not even for a threat like that. So China, it has been an aggressor. Believe it or not, it doesn't matter what their nationality is. It doesn't matter what their skin color is. All that matters is that they've been an aggressor. And finally, Biden is waking up. Biden is waking up to the fact that China has been and is and will be an aggressor. It's just waking up just now. Trump's been aware of it all along. Biden's just changing his tune now. What else? The debates. I watched the debates, and oh my gosh, I went in totally prepared to like Biden, totally prepared to support Biden, totally prepared to say, well, Biden was the better speaker and declare victory for Biden. I really was. I came in with an open mind, totally open mind. I was ready to take Biden's side if he did well and if he behaved himself. Biden did not behave himself. Okay, first of all, he said that that his health care plan, that he is now calling Biden Care. Biden Care would cost the U.S. $750 billion a year. And what is $750 billion? That is 6% of the GDP, and the whole GDP doesn't go to the government. About 20% of the GDP goes to the government. So, out of the total budget of the United States, 6% versus 20% works out to about a third of what we get, as far as what the government rakes in taxes. They get it's about a third. And then Biden claimed, no, we will not touch your Social Security. And we will not touch your Medicare. Joe, where is this money coming from? Oh, well, the rich will pay for this Biden Care program. When have the rich ever paid for anything in this country since the 1950s? When the middle class was actually well off, because we were actually taxing the rich for the first time in history and for the last time in history. During the Eisenhower administration, that was the last time that the rich were taxed. When have the rich ever paid their fair share? When have you ever bothered closing those loopholes? Oh, but we're going to work across the aisle. Yeah, but that's the one thing they don't want. That's their bottom line. They're not gonna budge on their bottom line. Republicans aren't gonna budge. You're not gonna get this. So you're not gonna get the funding for it. So it's gonna come out of Medicare, and it's going to come out of Social Security. Those programs will be gutted. What else will be gutted? How about our national defense, which we need right now? We really need our national defense right now, and Biden wants to gut it. So this is a real problem. I don't know what we're going to do. I need Social Security. I need Medicare, especially Medicare. Yeah, I could live without the Social Security, but the Medicare I have to have. Can't have no health insurance. Can't have no health insurance. And what about the national defense? Will I even live to see tomorrow if we gut our national defense? So I do not like this. Here's another thing. Both Biden and Trump lied. Both of them are pathological liars, and he thought he could fool some of his viewers. He was only speaking to his base, not regular Americans, not people sitting on the fence. He wasn't speaking to them. He was speaking to his base. That's it. He was just trying to energize his base because that's the only chance he has. He said, you know his record. You know his record. You know his penchant for telling the truth. You know my record. You know whether I tell the truth. Now vote. The implication being, I'm so honest and he isn't. Because that's the only implication he could possibly be making as a candidate. Speaking for himself and speaking for his opponent. Of course he's saying, this guy's dishonest and I'm telling the truth. Wrong. He's a big liar. He lied a few times during the debate. I caught him in his lies. Of course, the liberal media will never expose his lies. One of them was that Trump said okay, Biden said he wanted a minimum wage of $15 an hour. Okay. And Trump said, if you raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour, millions of Americans will lose their jobs. It'll be the worst economy ever, and millions of Americans will lose their jobs because the small businesses just can't afford to pay everyone $15 an hour, and they could cut their workforce up to half. Up to half of the workforce could get cut. Biden said, "That's not true." Well, guess what? Saying that's not true, that's a lie. That is a lie. Okay, I learned from my economics professor who has absolutely no stake in politics or politicians with their lies and their lying ways whatsoever. He was just trying to teach us basic economic principles. He told us that when you raise the minimum wage, people lose their jobs. And you have to decide whether that's a trade-off that's worth having for a few people or half the people to have a better standard of living and a better quality of life, just so that the other half of the people don't get any work whatsoever. Just something to think about, something to consider. Who do you believe? Do you believe Biden, or do you believe my economics professor was just trying to teach us economic principles? Who do you believe? And then you have to decide for yourself what's more important. So are you going to take the gambit and say, oh yes, I want a better standard of living, and the heck with everyone else who may not have a job yet, or who some of my coworkers may get cut, but I'm sure I won't. So go ahead and raise that minimum wage to $15 an hour, which is almost double of what it is now. Or maybe it's more than double, or maybe it's exactly double. I'm not sure. That is something to think about. Seriously, hard. There was another time in the debate where Biden said that's not true again to something that Trump said, and that was also a lie. I don't remember what it was, but go ahead and watch the debate. It's the second and final debate. Biden said that's not true twice, and both times it was a lie. As far as Trump's lies, he exaggerated again, like he always does. He exaggerates when it comes to COVID-19. At first he was doing well. At first he was saying we're doing something about this COVID-19, but then he said that as far as little kids go, children, that 99.9% of little children never have any complications from COVID, and that as far as adults go, like the whole population as a whole, that 99% never experience adverse symptoms. So he didn't say, oh, that they never die. He said they just don't have complications. So gross, and this is people who catch it, not the whole population as it stands right now currently, but anybody who catches it out of people who catch it. So he really grossly exaggerated. He just he just always says 99% because it's something he's pulled out of his ass, and he just pulls it out, and then makes up numbers, which is a form of lie. It's a lie. And another thing Biden did that I don't care, but you who are Christian may be very, very uncomfortable with this, may feel very upset, was the number of times that Biden took God's name in vain. I'm not going to say the Lord because I don't like the Lord at all, but he took God's name in vain. At least 3 times. Go ahead and watch the debate and you can tell me how many times in the comments. It was not nice. It was not good. There was one point in the debate where Trump was saying something. It might have not been something Biden agreed with, but Trump said it seriously, and he meant it, and he took it seriously. And Biden just began laughing like a villain. He laughed. Biden laughed like a total villain. And based upon what Trump was saying, it was so inappropriate. It was so inappropriate for him to laugh like a villain, like he just didn't care about the people Trump was talking about. Go ahead and watch it. Go ahead and watch that debate. See Biden laugh like a villain. So I was very displeased with Biden lying, claiming honest and truthfulness, laughing like a villain, taking God's name in vain, and the content of what he said, that he was going to basically gut our national defense and Social Security and Medicare. He was going to gut it. And he said he wouldn't, which is another politician lie. So just think about this. Just think about it. Just think about it. And think about the fact that Biden was in Congress for 45 years, at least 45 years. He never did any of these things. He wasn't able to accomplish tax reform or any of the things he wants at all. How's he going to do that as president if he couldn't do it in Congress? No, he doesn't have the leadership, and he doesn't have the skills to do that. He's making promises he can't keep just so he can get in office. What could happen to Biden once he gets in office? Tell you what could happen. He's not very healthy. He could drop dead in office. And interesting thing was when Biden was approaching, he saw Trump coming in. He hesitated. He hesitated. He sort of froze. And then he put his head down and then walked the rest of the way to the podium. He very timidly walked toward the podium, like he was afraid he was going to catch coronavirus from Trump. He was scared. Not a brave man, but he could die in office. And then guess who will be our president? Kamala Harris. What's wrong with Kamala Harris? Well, if you do a little research on Kamala Harris is basically a flaming communist. She's a total communist. He couldn't have picked a more radical running mate, and he did it just to energize his base and get more voters that were on the young side, the youthful, who have been polarized in this country. He wanted to get their vote. But what he did was he put off people in the middle who would have supported him. All the people in the middle, or who were riding the fence who would have supported him, turned off by Kamala Harris. Suppose we had a President Kamala Harris and we went to war with China. Tell you what Kamala Harris would do. She would say, "Welcome, brothers. Welcome, brothers. Come in, come in, come in. Take over our country." And I'll tell you what would happen if she did that. If she betrayed her oath of office, which she would love to do because she's no Christian. Putting her hand on a Bible doesn't mean anything to her. If she took an oath of office and then brought in the Chinese, betrayed our country to the Chinese, basically, I'll tell you what would happen. Secret Service that was sworn to protect her they'd shoot her right in the head. Then we would have a civil war. We'd have a civil war in this country, and there would be fighting in the streets, and the U.S. Army would go rogue. They would go rogue, and they would attack the invading Chinese, regardless of what Pelosi says, regardless of any orders from their superiors. They would just go rogue, and they might even kill Chinese Americans, which would be very unfortunate for them to kill Chinese Americans. But they would go rogue, and they would kill the invading Chinese army. That's what they would do. There's patriots in this country, and there's no way they're going to let this happen. But If Biden isn't elected, none of that ever has to happen. And Kamala Harris can live. You love Kamala Harris, right? You love her. You love her so much. If you want to keep her alive, don't vote for her. Don't vote for her if you want to keep her alive. She doesn't have to die. She doesn't have to die. All you have to do is vote for Trump. It's shaping up. It's looking now like Trump is the only one who really takes the situation with China seriously. And I don't trust the President Kamala at all. That's the main thing. I don't trust the President Kamala. I don't trust Social Security and Medicare being gutted so everyone can have health care. And then another, now I remember what it was. I remembered now. Biden said that's not true, and he lied again. I remember what it was now. Trump said this was very serious, that during Obamacare, the predecessor to Biden care, remember? During Obamacare, a lot of people were knocked off their insurance. And it was people with private insurance. People with private insurance were forced to give up their insurance. And then they had to pick a new plan. They had to pick a new private plan that had been approved by Obamacare. And because Obamacare took over the whole process of private health insurance and controlled private health insurance in this country. They had to pick a new plan, and their premiums went up, and their rates went up because of Obamacare. It was basically robbing Peter to pay Paul. One of the mechanisms behind Obamacare was taking funds from the private insurers, transferring it over to pay for Obamacare. Well, then people with private insurance, their premiums went up, and they weren't able to afford their private insurance anymore. So then they had to go with Obamacare. Very sneaky, right? And then Biden said on the stage, absolutely, you can keep your private insurance. You'll never have to give it up. And when Trump called him on that, he said, and Trump said a lot of people lost their private insurance, Biden says, that's not true. That's not true. And that was also a lie. I mean, he's lying about people who suffered in this country. He's lying through his teeth that time. Biden dropped the ball, and he did a really bad job. And he's a lying politician, and he's a dirty, lying politician. I just can't support him anymore. Can't support him anymore. And I don't think he's got the coolest head. I really don't believe he's got the coolest head in his dealings with China. I don't believe he's got a cool head. I think he's a hothead, wants to punish all his enemies. And I don't like the idea of a President Biden at all. You may not like Trump, but he's very shrewd. Very shrewd man. And you may not like his dealings with Kim Jong-un, but for a while there he was brokering a peace with Kim Jong-un, which could only be good for America. And it could be good for the North Koreans if you're a globalist. If you're a globalist, it's good for the North Koreans too. It's good for everyone involved to broker peace, to keep good relations and stay on good relations. You have to be shrewd, you have to be cunning, and you have to realize what your opponent is up to. You have to command your opponent's respect. And the old defense secretary that betrayed Trump didn't believe that Trump had that shrewdness. He thought he was kind of an idiot. He was the village idiot. But he's not. He's not. He's very shrewd. He's a very shrewd man. And he always controls his poker chips on the table. He doesn't let anyone steal his poker chips. So, was the deal with Trump saying that the Chinese bank account had been closed years ago. Absolutely no way of verifying that. We just had to take his word for it. Biden flat out denied ever accepting money from China. They said that he accepted $750 million, and there was no way of proving that either, proving or disproving it. But Trump made the claim during the debate, so that might be worth researching. So there's that. I want to tell you something that's happened to me recently. I've been in a lot of pain. Pain in my back, pain in my backside, and pain running down the back of my thigh. And it's hard now getting up. It's hard walking. It happened all of a sudden, boom, like that, right overnight. I hadn't eaten anything bad. I hadn't done anything differently. And I didn't go for a big long walk. I didn't do any physical activity. There was no explanation at all. And then my mom said, well, what's going on with 5G? So I looked it up. I looked up 5G, and sure enough, just like 3 days before this pain started, they flipped the switch. I don't know if they flipped the switch everywhere in the country at the same time, or it took them time to flip the switch here, but they flipped the switch on 5G. Saw this terrific advertisement from Chris Rock. It was for Verizon, and he was bragging about 5G and using that voice of his that he's got. Chris Rock's got that certain voice, and saying how great it was going to be and how it was the best thing since sliced bread with butter. It's the best thing since sliced bread with butter, and your speeds will be so much faster and you'll just love it. They flipped the switch. I'm in excruciating pain. I actually thought about, I looked it all up. I looked up all the details. I actually thought about doing what they did in Europe. Finding my local tower, cutting the cord. Don't even care if I get an electric shock. Just use some rubber-coated, not pliers, that's not the word, rubber-coated tin snips, and just cutting the cord. 'Cause that BS hurts. That hurts like hell. That 5G. It really does. And when you play with Mother Nature, it's not nice. It's not nice to play with Mother Nature. 5G is just too much. I was able to tolerate 3G. I was even able to tolerate 4G, but I was in so much pain after they started with the 5G. If you want to know what 5G is, it's direct current microwaves being broadcast through the air. Yeah, it's just like being in a microwave oven, only you don't get cooked unless you're near the tower. If you're near the tower, you can get baked. But as long as you're farther away, you don't get cooked, but it does terrible things to your cells. Go ahead and check out the links in the description. There's some good information on 5G there. Another thing you should all know about, so a couple of things I want you to know about. I want you to know about micro machines. I want you to know about the viruses. What are micro machines? Micro machines are like microscopic little robots. They're robots, but they're so small. They are smaller than a human cell. They're so small. They're tiny things. They're so small, in fact, that they'll fit through a needle. And do you want little robots inside of you, inside your bloodstream? No, you don't want little robots inside of you. You don't want little robots in your bloodstream. They said, well, microchips. Microchips don't do anything inside the human body. You're not a computer. You're not a computer. And all a microchip does is just sit there. Microchip just sits there. Microchip doesn't do anything, and you're not IBM compatible last time I checked. So because you're not IBM compatible, microchip doesn't do anything. However, these micro machines, they can do something. And there's nothing that a micro machine can do inside the human body except damage. That's all it can do. All it can do is damage. Now, people say, this is the wave of the future. You could destroy a tumor. You could destroy a cancer cell. Yeah, you could. But it could also be used for evil. It could be used to cause people pain. Could be used to remotely kill someone. Could be used to do brain damage, liver damage, heart damage. Could be used anywhere in the body. These micro machines are controlled by radio frequency. I'll tell you a couple things I found out that can destroy these micro machines. 2 things. G-force. So, like, for example, going on some roller coaster rides. Spend a day at the amusement park, go on some roller coaster rides, destroys micro machines. Not sure if it will, because the scale of your body is different from the scale of you might have a bunch of dead micro machines in your bloodstream that are just floating around causing havoc in your body, that can't be controlled. That is possible, but at least no one can remotely kill you with them. They just be inert, but just sitting in your bloodstream. It is possible that the G-force inside of a roller coaster ride wouldn't affect the micro machines. May not, but just something worth trying. The other thing that can destroy micro machine isn't really destruction at all. It's just removal. If you donate blood regularly, like if you're able to donate blood, I personally am not able to donate blood. If you donate blood regularly, local blood drive, eventually the micro machines will be removed from your bloodstream until they're all gone. Now, how can these micro machines get into your body? Really, the only way they can get into your bloodstream is if someone injects you. So, when do you get an injection? Just think about it. I'm not pressuring you or putting pressure on you or saying this is actually a real thing or that it's actually happening. So far, our medical establishment and our government might actually be saints. They might be saints, and they might never do something like this. It's just a possibility in the future. What is another possibility in the future? Well, the future is here. The future is here now. They now have viruses that they've genetically engineered that can alter human DNA. Can alter human DNA. They can insert or possibly remove. I don't know. But they can, most of the time it's insertion. They can insert new DNA into your genetic code. And you may say, wow, this is great. This is great. Now maybe we have the cure for genetic diseases. Maybe we can cure genetic diseases. Maybe we can cure Tay-Sachs disease. Maybe we can cure sickle cell anemia. Maybe we can cure muscular dystrophy. Oh, this is great. Yeah, but it could also be used for evil. What if they could make your kids dumb? Or what if they could insert cancer genes, like a breast cancer gene, or give you cancer? Or what if they could insert a gene that is a fatal anomaly that would kill you instantly if they wanted to do you in? Or what if they inserted a virus, a gene for, they could make you glow in the dark. They could change your eye color, skin color. They could do anything. They They could do anything they wanted if they can change your DNA. And the only way they can make this virus work to change all your DNA is if they use an infectious virus, a virus that replicates, which means you could be very, very sick. When you finally recover from it, all your DNA is changed. Just to know, like you could have pus oozing out of your eyes for a while, and bloody noses, and lung congestion, all of it would be as bad as corona. And then when you finally recover, your whole sequence in so many of your cells, maybe not all, because it can't infect all, that would kill you, but most of your body would be changed after the virus. And how could you get this virus? Again, you could be injected with it, or they could just put it in your food and water. So, not much you can do to avoid this, except move far, far away. Just move far, far away. Maybe just get out of America. Just move far, far away. Become an expat. You don't have to give up your U.S. citizenship. You can come back anytime you want to, but just move like my mom's friend did to Vietnam. Then you'd be near China, right? Just move far, far away. Not have anything to do. Just move to a little village where they produce their own food and pay the locals, pay the villagers for the food. Use satellite internet. Get yourself some land. Live off the land. That's the only way I can think of. Now the UN. You should know about the UN. They have, for the sake of the environment, they have land use laws now. They control everything you do. They don't let you build on your land without a permit. You have to ask for special permission to do all sorts of things with your land. There's a whole bunch of things you can't do. Now, the only two things that I approve of as far as ordinances go would be, first of all, we really need to stop the soil erosion because we're going to lose our topsoil that feeds us. So soil erosion needs to be controlled. So the farming techniques need to change. They need to change quickly. The other land use thing, and there are ways to control soil erosion. Look up Rodale. Rodale will show you the way to control soil erosion. The other thing is dumping chemicals on your land. And that's never a good thing to dump chemicals on the land, especially without containment or permission to do so. So those are the two things. Other than that, I think you should be able to do anything you want with your land at all. But no. GOV doesn't want to let you. And it's the GOV of the whole world. It's the UN. UN has total control now over land use in the U.S. They can control it. And the UN doesn't want to let you use your land. Just inform yourself. Follow some of the links in the description. You'll see some of the issues at hand. I'm not sure if that was last week. It may have been last week that I included the link about the UN and the land use. So you can check that out. So that's it. Should know that very, very bad things afoot, but there's good things too. There's people who are warning people to get prepared in the event of a nuclear war. That's really good. It's really good that we got the candidates to speak up on this issue. So there's good things happening as well. And I'll see you next time.